Hey guys, Bob here, Raw Strength and Muscle, and today I got some bad news for you. Shawn Rhoden, former Mr. Olympia, just died, okay? He died so recently, nobody even really knows what caused his death. The autopsy certainly isn't in yet. People haven't even really claimed what he died of. They say maybe heart attack. Apparently it's natural causes, but that's really all that we know, okay? He was 46 years old when he died. Now, this is not a bodybuilding channel, and this is certainly not a bodybuilding news channel, so I'm not going to really go into his death, okay, per se. I just want to discuss, a couple things. First of all, any trolls out there who are talking shit about him, a man just died, okay? You need to grow the motherfuck up, okay? Because, talking shit about a man who just died, a man who's got family, friends, pets, aspirations, whatever, jobs, people, he's fucking dead and you're gonna fucking talk shit. It fucking shows like a couple things. First of all, you're a fucking piece of shit, okay? And number two, the internet is allowing pieces of shit like you not to get your teeth knocked out of your skull, okay? I don't give a fuck about bodybuilding, but like I said, a man just died, so show some goddamn respect, number one. Now, number two, I want to just talk about in general, okay? And I've actually had a request for this kind of a video recently. Is so many bodybuilders are dying now, okay? Really young, really recently, what my thoughts are on that, okay? Now, first of all, I just want to go ahead and say that, bodybuilding is an extreme sport. Okay, bodybuilding as a sport is an extreme sport and people are going to die, okay? My first thought when I think about bodybuilders dying is how many people do you see dying in car racing and shit like that, all they do is drive around in circles so that people can drink beer and watch them drive around in circles. And these guys are driving into walls at 200 miles an hour, okay? That's fucking dangerous as fuck. Basically any time that you push yourself to the limit of human endurance, okay? Whether it's a slight mistake with your steering wheel or your brakes and you hit a wall and die, or if it's dying of bodybuilding, dying of free diving where people just go underwater without oxygen as deep as they can, okay? And stay as long as they can because they try to go deeper and deeper. People are gonna die, things are gonna happen, okay? So it's an extreme sport. Now, what I want to talk about today is how to take the extreme sport of bodybuilding and bring it back to its roots, okay? Bring it back to what it really means to work out to be healthy, okay? Because back in the day, there weren't these huge bodybuilding competitions. You go somewhere like Muscle Beach, Venice or whatever, back in I guess the 50s, and people would just throw out a board on the sand, hey, this is our stage, let's go ahead and have a bodybuilding competition. And guys would just go ahead and and just flex and hey, you win and who cares? It's all fun. But now that big business is into it, multi-million-dollar business is into it, sponsorships, etc. People will do whatever it takes to win. And since your body is your machine that you are racing in bodybuilding, you're basically going to do whatever you can to get your body to the highest level. And a lot of that is going to flatline. It's going to redline your body, and your body is going to break down sooner than it would have if you hadn't pushed it that hard, okay? So, how do we go ahead and be the healthiest person in the room when we're in shape, as opposed to a bodybuilding competition where the least healthy people in the room are the ones up on stage, and they're much less healthy than the people watching them. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and shotgun out a couple things. Now, first of all, no human being was meant to be as big as an open class bodybuilder is. Okay, people talk about steroids, people talk about, hormones causing problems, and I'll get to that in a minute, but it isn't really a big deal so much about the hormone use, whereas opposed to the effects of the hormone, okay? If you get your body up to 250, 300 pounds, you're not supposed to weigh that goddamn much, okay? The reason you need to use steroids to get up to this weight is because your body is trying to stay healthy. Okay, lifting weights will build muscle, increase your strength, increase your size, okay? Eating will increase your strength, increase your size, up to a certain point at which you have your natural genetic limitations where you cannot get bigger or stronger. Then people will take steroids to get stronger than like God, the universe, whatever intended them to be. Their genetic code did not intend them to be this big. So they are really fighting against Mother Nature or science or whatever you want to call it by trying to get this big. Okay, so I don't care if you're 250, 300 pounds of fat or muscle or both, it is unhealthy, okay? It cranks up your heart, your blood pressure. Your blood pressure, okay, is literally, it's pressure. It's crushing your internal organs, okay? It is not healthy to have high blood pressure. These guys have high blood pressure, okay, just because of the amount they weigh. I've said it before and I'm gonna say it again, you know, when I get over 200 pounds, I really snore a lot. Okay, when I get over like close to 210 or over 210, I get sleep apnea. I literally stop breathing. Like my girlfriend will wake up in the middle of the night and I'll just be laying there like not breathing. My chest isn't moving, I'm not breathing. And then like 30 seconds later, I'll start breathing again, start gasping for air. Okay, now the fact of the matter is that shit will fucking kill you, okay? High blood pressure over an extended period of time will fucking kill you, okay? So first of all, if you want to not die of bodybuilding, do not take anything that's going to get you bigger than you're supposed to be. The same thing goes with bulking. Like don't fat boy bulk up to like whatever and get fat, okay? Even if you're a natural athlete, even if you don't use any hormones, do not get fat to the point that you have sleep apnea, that you snore, and that you have high blood pressure consistently, okay? That is unhealthy. It's just the sheer mass is what's killing these people. Not necessarily like the steroids, but the steroids are causing them to get too big and the sheer size is causing them to die, okay? And I think that, like I said, a combination of high blood pressure and sleep apnea are a couple of the reasons why so many guys are dying of like heart failure related stuff, okay? In terms of bodybuilders. Now, yes, it is also true that it is unhealthy to take huge amounts of steroids and especially some of the harsher types of steroids. I've been on TRT for years. I love TRT, very honest about TRT, and I'm going to stay on TRT for the rest of my life. I'm also not fucking blasting like an asshole, taking insane amounts of shit just to get fucking to be 250 pounds, okay? I'm also not taking any kind of harsh crap like Andreas Münzer, okay, known as the most shredded bodybuilder the world has ever seen, okay? The most shredded bodybuilder the world has ever seen. He is a German bodybuilder who was shredded. It's like, not only was he stage shredded, he was, for people who are stage shredded, he was on another level. And he was like that 24/7, 365. How did he do that? He was constantly taking diuretics, okay, to keep the subcutaneous water out of his body. He was constantly taking oral steroids, okay, to get that definition. So what happened is when he died, he was having stomach pains, went to the doctor, went to the hospital, got operated on. They opened him up and he bled to death, I believe, on the operating table. He had like golf ball size tumors in his liver from taking fucking huge amounts of fucking very toxic oral steroids for fucking, you know, just forever on end. Like he never cycled off. He just took huge amounts and kept taking them. And the same thing with diuretics, okay? So, like I said, it's like he got sickening looking. Like I respect how lean he was, but I would not want to look like that. He literally looks like somebody from, what was it, Hellraiser movie or something like that, where they like strip the skin off of a person. They just have like little meat fucking suits they're wearing. He literally looked like that. He looked disgusting. I respect the work he put in. I respect how disciplined he was. But the fact is, I wouldn't even want to look like that, first of all. Second, he was like that 24/7. Apparently, he had a guy back in Germany who like owned a gym, owned a magazine. I actually read the magazine when I was in Germany. I forgot the name of it, Active Fit or something like that. But he actually, you know, was pushing him to be constantly stage ready. And it killed him. Okay, you do not have to get that lean. Just like I don't think you should get bigger than you normally should be, you shouldn't get leaner than you normally should be, okay? I mean, you know, like I remember, like I said, my girlfriend took a picture of me one time walking the dog in the morning and I looked goddamn good. I wasn't flexing, didn't have a pump, I didn't take diuretics, I didn't take Winstrol or fucking halotestin or any shit to make my fucking, you know, make me look leaner. It was just the way I was. Now, I'm not going to win a bodybuilding competition, but I don't care. You know, I look good and I'm healthy. I don't want to get leaner, okay, to the point where I'm like literally killing myself to get that goddamn lean. I don't think you should either, okay? So you can and should get as big and as strong as possible. You can and should get as lean as possible, but not by using something that's going to allow you to get further along than you normally should be. Get as big and strong as you can. Don't take something to get you bigger than you were supposed to be, because that's when your body starts breaking down. Now let's talk about diuretics. I remember it was years ago, a female bodybuilder, and female bodybuilding's kind of gone now, but a female bodybuilder died right around when she had a competition, okay? And I'm like 99% certain that it was because she was dehydrated, okay? What people do is they do not drink water. Then they take diuretics, which cause them to urinate and to excrete more water, okay? They take oral steroids to make them look leaner, okay? And they do that. They take amphetamines, okay, to allow them to like function even though they have like 0 calories in their body, like they're literally starving themselves, but just to be able to function, they take like amphetamines just to keep going. And that's why so many people die right before, right at, or right after a bodybuilding competition. Like I said, this girl died just a little bit after a bodybuilding competition. I think she just pushed the fucking diuretics and, you know, the fucking dehydration too far, and she fucking died. There's another guy I want to call, I don't really know a lot about bodybuilding. I'm honest, I don't know. I know more about like the golden era guys, you know, those Rhonda, Larry Scott era guys, because I'm interested in their nutrition back then, but these days, I really don't know, but I mean, I think Tom Prince, he may have been like a bodybuilder from the 90s, early 2000s, I don't know. He fucking, so far as I know, he lost a kidney. I was reading an article about him a while ago, and he was like a bodybuilder. He wanted to do one last show, and he was really fucked. His like kidney was already fucked, and he said he was spent the night in the hotel room before the competition, in the fetal position, laying up against the fucking bed on the floor with his wife rubbing his back all fucking night because he was in such pain because he was so dehydrated and he already had a fucked up kidney. The next day he went to the show and they were getting ready to walk out on stage and he literally couldn't walk out on stage. He was so dehydrated he couldn't walk out on stage. He just tried taking a couple steps. It was just way too painful. He couldn't stand up. And it was like, you know, when you're in a fucking airplane and the guy in front of you gets shot, you just fucking like take his goddamn line down and just fucking keep going and step on top of him. I mean, like I knew guys in Panama who, you know, fucking jumped into Panama who did that. Like the guy in front of them gets shot, they take his fucking, unhook his chute and step over him and fucking jump out. That's like what the fucking bodybuilders did, but they weren't going to combat. They weren't going to fucking war. These bodybuilders were just like walking out onto stage. Tom Prince just fucking falls down basically and they just, okay, the next guy takes his place and they just keep going. He didn't even make the fucking competition, okay? He went through all of that shit, didn't even make the competition. And then in the same article I read about that, it showed a picture of him like, you know, recently, I mean, you know, at the time of the article, and he had lost like 100 fucking pounds of muscle. Like he looked like a normal skinny guy. He had somehow gotten like his kidney taken care of. I don't know if he had like a transplant for like, or something. The bottom line is he barely survived that, okay? Because of just being fucking dehydrated all the time. It's fucking unhealthy. Now let's talk about amphetamines. Like I said, I mean, like you're not taking in any calories, okay? But you still need to go to the gym. You still need to function as a human being. You still need to, you know, keep your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis up, okay? I tell people in my courses not to take ephedrine, not to overdo the caffeine, okay? These guys will literally take crank, crystal methamphetamine, or cocaine, or both, just to be able to function. So you're dehydrating yourself, you're starving yourself, and you are taking cocaine just to be able to continue by being alive, like just to be able to function as a human being, okay? Now don't tell me that that is not healthy. Like don't drink water. I remember when I was a kid, raves were a big deal back in the 90s, okay? And kids were dying at raves. And why was that? Because they were taking stimulants, okay? Whether it was, ecstasy or fucking coke or fucking meth or whatever, they were taking some sort of a fucking some sort of a stimulant, not drinking water and staying up for 3 days dancing, and they die of dehydration. You know, like I said, like the fucking, you know, the drugs didn't kill them, but it allowed them to stay awake for 3 days straight with no sleep, no food, and no water, and they died because they were up for 3 days straight with no food and no water and no sleep. So, like I said, that's another problem. You know, another thing too is not just right around, okay, not just right around a competition, but just in general, a lot of bodybuilders will get hooked on recreational drugs. Maybe you take the coke or the crystal meth just to get through the competition preparation phase, but now you're addicted, so you're just fucking snorting coke all the goddamn time, okay? You know, as a matter of fact, I knew back, once again, you know, the early 2000s, when Lion's Den was a big deal and stuff like that, back when MMA was called NHB, you know, back when it was legal, you couldn't put shit on pay-per-view. I trained MMA, or no holds barred, with a bunch of guys in the Army. And, you know, one guy we used to train with actually went over to California and bought Shamrock's Lion's Den, and he turned it into Tony Galendo's bullpen is what he called it. And yeah, and he fought in, what was it, King of the Cage back then, you know, stuff like that. He was a pretty, you know, decent guy. But him, me, a couple other guys used to train in Germany where I was stationed. And, you know, I remember there were like guys that were addicted to like pain meds, like intravenous pain meds. Like they would use their steroids, and then they'd use like pain meds, intravenous, actually popping a vein and injecting into their vein to get through a workout. They became addicted to it. Like they literally became addicted to that shit too. So what I'm basically trying to say here is like, does steroids kill you? Probably not. Does being 300 pounds kill you? Yeah. Does having chronic high blood pressure kill you? Yeah. Does chronic sleep apnea kill you? Yes. Does fucking taking toxic oral steroids for extended periods of time cause your liver to go to shit? Yes. Does being dehydrated constantly cause your fucking, you know, kidneys to go to shit? Yes, okay? So those are the things. Now, and this is not just a matter of bodybuilding, this is just a matter of everything. You should never go beyond the point that you should go beyond, okay? You know, like I am pretty fucking strong, okay? I'm pretty fucking strong. I do like trap bar deads with 500 pounds for reps, okay? That's pretty fucking strong. But guess what? You know, there are guys out there that do 700, 1,000 pounds, whatever deadlifts, like World's Strongest Man competitions where they do huge amounts. Now, they have to take immense amounts of food, immense amounts of training, immense amounts of shit to allow them to get that strong, and it's breaking their bodies down. Let's talk about Ronnie Coleman, okay? Ronnie Coleman is in a wheelchair. All of his joints and his entire body are fucked up. And he can trace that back to some of these huge lifts that he did that, you know, he squatted God knows how many hundreds of pounds for a couple of reps, or deadlifted God knows how many pounds for a couple of reps, okay? There was a World's Strongest Man competitor who was talking about his like, 1,000-pound deadlift or something like this. And he said basically just lifted it, took a few steps, and fell into this other guy's arms. Like this other guy caught him as he was about to pass out. He fucking was out for a long time. This one rep fucked him up. You really need to deadlift 1,000 pounds. I'm stronger than I would be because of the strength level I've gotten to, but I have no desire whatsoever to get any stronger. Getting any stronger, which is grind down my joints, my vertebrae, everything, which is destroy my body. And I probably wouldn't really have much more muscle mass. I mean, and what would the extra strength do? The bottom line is if I can't get laid right now, it's not because I don't have enough muscle. If I can't defend myself right now, it's not because I'm not strong enough, okay? So killing myself to get stronger, killing myself to get leaner, killing myself to build more muscle is not gonna fucking do anything. You know, you can bring it up to a certain point, then after that, everything's just gonna go down, okay? So, you know, that's basically the difference between like bodybuilding killing you and bodybuilding extending your life, okay? You know, like I said, I mean, I really don't think that like these steroids itself, unless you use, like I said, toxic oral steroids for huge doses for like no breaks and stuff like that. But in general, testosterone replacement, you know, growth hormone replacement, like Stallone, okay, deep into his 70s, okay, he's pushing 80 right now. He is still the epitome of the alpha male. Like, I remember it was like Stone Cold Steve Austin or whatever. Somebody who was on one of the Expendables sets was talking about Stallone. And he said, like, everybody there was an alpha male. I mean, fucking everybody there was. You had Statham, you had fucking Jet Li and Dolph Lundgren and, you know, all these, everybody there was an alpha male. And it was like, with all of these alpha males, including Stone Cold Steve Austin, the giant monster of a man he is, there's like all of these alpha males, and then there's like nothing, and then there's like Sylvester Stallone is like way the fuck ahead of them in terms of alpha and manliness. Guy's pushing 80. He's on growth hormone. He's on testosterone. He's not blasting like a motherfucking asshole. Okay? He's just taking the amount that will allow him to continue to function at a high level. But he's not trying to function at a level that's redlined way the hell higher than he should be. You know, if you look at some of his films he made when he was in his 40s, the guy weighed like what, 167, 177? The guy was not a huge mass monster. And he's still around these days. Okay, he's still making movies. He's still alive. He's still looking good. And then, like I said, you get all these other people, like I said, like, was it Tom Prince, I believe is his name, where his kidney was fucked up. And now here he is, 100 pounds of muscle, lighter than he ever was. And he looks like a skinny accountant. He doesn't look like a normal accountant. He's like a skinny accountant, okay? Because he blasted his fucking kidneys out to shit with all the shit he took and all the dehydration. So basically what I'm trying to say is, like, don't go ahead and over fucking do this shit. Do not go and fucking, you know, blow yourself away. Fucking take shit to get bigger than you should be, stronger than you should be, you know, leaner than you should be. Just get very lean as you can get. Get very big, very strong, as big and strong as you can get. And that's it, okay? As a matter of fact, you know, this is something I wanted to talk about a while ago too. It's like my heart rate is usually like 62, 64. That's not good. It's not bad, but that's not really, really good. Okay, really, really good is like 40s. Okay, I remember when Michael Bisping was about to fight GSP and his resting heart rate was like 42. Okay, and guess what? That shit's unhealthy. I looked it up and I found out that there's actually a correlation between people who have extremely low resting heart rates and people who have fucking pacemakers installed later in life because they're fucking their body. You're not supposed to have a heart rate of 42. Now, if you do that, saying, as a matter of fact, I was looking this up and I have found a forum where somebody was asking about that. And one guy actually said, he's like, yeah, he had a resting heart rate in his low 40s his whole life. He's older now and he has a fucking pacemaker. He says, honestly, you know, that was part of his sport. He loved long distance running. He wouldn't change a thing even if he knew it. But yes, he admits that the reason he has a pacemaker now is because he had a resting heart rate in his 40s, in the 40s for like his whole life. And because of that, he has a heart pacemaker. He accepted it. He said, yes, he knows that's what caused it, and he doesn't care. He loved his life. He enjoyed running. He enjoyed being good at running and having a low resting heart rate's part of that. But he admitted that's the reason why he's fucked. Okay? So like I said, that's basically what I'm just trying to say here. You're like, if you fucking think it's cool to talk shit about somebody who died, you're a fucking piece of shit loser hiding behind a fucking fake ass fucking internet fucking name bullshit, trying to make yourself feel better. Like, oh yeah, he died. You're a fucking piece of shit. A man died. Grow the fuck up. Okay? When you fucking die under a fucking pile of goddamn pizzas and fucking goddamn ice cream on your fucking sofa at 46 because you're a fat fucking piece of shit who hasn't moved his fucking body. Fucking, do you want people to fucking laugh at you, you motherfucking piece of horse shit? So number one, it's too bad he died. Number two, every sport that you bring to an extreme is going to be inherently dangerous, okay? And number three is, like I said, it's still possible to use fitness and bodybuilding as a way to be healthy. Just don't fucking overdo it, okay? Size, strength, resting heart rate, everything. Just don't fucking overdo it. Push yourself as hard as you can. Get the hormonal support that you need, okay? The nutrition, the training. If you need growth hormone replacement, testosterone replacement, you know, if you need to have your thyroid helped because you have problems with your thyroid, fine, fix it, bring it up to a normal level, but do not fucking go crazy with that shit and bring yourself into a situation that your body just cannot handle. Anyway, like I said, bad news, but this is, you know, like I said, it gave me the opportunity to talk about something that could be positive, okay? Appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe to the channel, like it, follow me on Instagram because I'm going to be putting out more shit on Instagram, whatever. It's a bad day. Somebody died, but, you know, that doesn't mean that bodybuilding or even supplementation, hormone replacement is unhealthy. It just means you can't push shit to an incredible limit and then expect to not have any consequences.